Today, we're talking about something that creates a lot of debate online: manifestation. Some people swear by it. Some people think it changes their lives. And other people hear the word manifestation and immediately think, that's fake, that's delusional, that's just toxic positivity. That's woo-woo nonsense. And honestly, I understand why people are skeptical. Because social media has turned manifestation into some pretty unrealistic things sometimes. Like, just stay positive and millions will appear overnight. Never feel negative emotions. You can control absolutely everything. Or if something bad happens, you manifested it. And personally, I don't think manifestation should be approached in an extreme or magical way. But I also think people dismiss manifestation too quickly because they misunderstand what parts of it are actually grounded in psychology, neuroscience, behavior, and mindset. So today, we're talking about what manifestation realistically is, the difference between mindset and magical thinking, and 3 scientific reasons manifestation practices can generally influence your life. This is not about pretending life is perfect. This is not about blaming people for hardship. And this is definitely not saying thoughts alone magically control the universe. This video is about understanding how beliefs, focus, emotional patterns, self-concept, and behavior can influence outcomes in very real ways. And at the end, I will give you your practical action steps for using manifestation in a healthier, more grounded way. So get comfortable and let's get into it. Before we talk about the science, we need to clarify something important. A lot of people define manifestation differently. Some people approach it spiritually, some psychologically, some symbolically, some emotionally. But at its core, manifestation is often about intentional focus, belief systems, emotional patterns, visualization, expectation, and aligned action. It's the idea that your internal world affects how you experience and respond to the external. Now, does this mean think about a Ferrari once and it appears tomorrow? No. We wish, but no. Your mindset can influence your confidence, the opportunities you notice, risks you take, habits, emotional resilience, relationships, and the way you show up. And that's where things start becoming less woo-woo and more psychological. The first scientific reason manifestation can appear powerful involves something called selective attention. Your brain constantly filters enormous amounts of information every second. If it didn't, you'd feel overwhelmed constantly. So your brain prioritizes information it believes is important. This is partially connected to something called the reticular activating system, or RAS. The RAS helps filter information based on focus, importance, repetition, and emotional significance. A simple example. Have you ever learned a new word and suddenly started seeing it everywhere? Or thought about buying a certain car and suddenly noticed that car constantly on the road? That car wasn't magically appearing more. Your awareness changed. Manifestation practices like visualization, affirmations, goal setting, and intentional focus can increase awareness towards opportunities, behaviors, and possibilities you may have ignored before. For example, if you constantly tell yourself, I'm not capable, you may subconsciously avoid opportunities. But if you start reinforcing, I can grow, I can learn, I'm worthy of success, your behavior and intention may gradually shift. You may apply for opportunities, speak more confidently, take more action, notice new connections, or stop self-sabotaging as much. And that's not magic. That's psychology interacting with behavior. And the second reason manifestation can influence outcomes is expectation. Humans often behave according to what they believe is possible. This connects to ideas like self-fulfilling prophecies, placebo effects, confidence, and expectancy theory. For example, if someone deeply believes nothing ever works out for me, they may stop trying, avoid risks, hesitate, expect rejection, or give up quickly. That belief changes behavior. But if someone begins believing maybe things can improve, they may persist longer, take more opportunities, build resilience, communicate differently, and recover from setbacks more effectively. Belief affects action, and action affects results. This is one reason confidence matters so much. Not because confidence magically controls reality, but because confidence changes how people move through reality. And honestly, a huge part of manifestation content is really about changing self-concept. The way you see yourself matters, because your self-concept affects your standards, your relationships, your boundaries, your ambition, your emotional resilience, and decision-making. The third scientific reason manifestation practices can help involves visualization. It's been studied in areas like sports psychology, performance training, confidence building, and skill development. Athletes often mentally rehearse performance before competitions. Why? Because mentally imagining actions can strengthen neural pathways connected to behavior and performance. Now, visualization alone does not replace practice. You cannot visualize becoming a professional pianist without actually learning the piano. But visualization can increase your confidence, reduce anxiety, improve your focus, reinforce your motivation, and mentally prepare people for action. For example, if someone repeatedly visualizes themselves speaking confidently, succeeding, healing, building routines, or achieving goals, that mental rehearsal may help reduce psychological resistance over time. Again, not magic, but mindset influencing behavior and emotional state. Now, I also think it's important to talk honestly about where manifestation culture sometimes becomes harmful, because not all manifestation advice online is healthy. Some harmful ideas include blaming people for trauma or illness, believing negative emotions are bad, obsessively controlling your thoughts, spiritual perfectionism, magical thinking without action, or believing you caused every painful experience. That can create guilt, anxiety, shame, emotional suppression, and burnout. Healthy manifestation should not sound like you must be positive every second. You cause every bad thing that's happened in your life. If you struggle, you failed. Life is more complicated than that. Bad things happen sometimes. Hardship exists. Mental health matters. Systemic challenges exist. Manifestation should support emotional growth, not erase reality. This is probably one of the most important parts of the conversation. Mindset matters. But action matters too. Visualization without action usually just becomes fantasy. But action without belief often becomes burnout. Healthy manifestation combines intention, self-awareness, emotional regulation, mindset, and aligned action. If you want confidence, you eventually need to practice being visible. If you want abundance, you may need financial habits and opportunities. If you want healthy relationships, emotional awareness and communication matter. Manifestation is not just wishing. It's participation. I think one of the missing pieces in manifestation conversations is nervous system regulation. Because sometimes people try to manifest abundance while their bodies feel chronically unsafe, exhausted, anxious, or emotionally overwhelmed. Your nervous system affects decision-making, emotional reactions, confidence, stress responses, and whatever feels psychologically safe. That's why emotional healing often overlaps with manifestation. Sometimes the biggest manifestation shift is not thinking more positive, it's feeling safer, trusting yourself more, regulating stress, and setting boundaries. That internal stability changes how people move through life. I think manifestation can feel magical sometimes because internal shifts often create surprising external changes over time. When people build confidence, change their habits, improve their self-worth, become emotionally resilient, and take action and stop self-sabotaging, their lives often improve. And because the emotional shift happened first, people naturally connect the two. Now, does that mean every manifestation story is scientifically measurable? Not necessarily. But that also doesn't mean that every experience is meaningless or fake. Humans are deeply psychological beings. Our thoughts, beliefs, expectations, emotions, and behaviors genuinely shape parts of our experience. I think people sometimes create a false choice. Either everything must be scientifically measurable or everything must be mystical. But honestly, maybe people use manifestation as motivation, emotional support, self-reflection, confidence building, intentional living, and mindset work. And if practices like journaling, affirmations, visualization, meditation, or gratitude help someone become healthier emotionally and mentally, that matters. You do not need to believe in extreme magical thinking to benefit from intentional mindset practices. If manifestation has helped you become more hopeful, more intentional, more confident, more self-aware, or more emotionally resilient, that growth is real. And if manifestation has ever made you feel anxious, obsessive, emotionally pressured, or disconnected from reality, it's okay to step back and approach it differently. Healthy manifestation should feel grounding, not emotionally exhausting. Your mindset matters. Your beliefs matter. Your actions matter. And small internal shifts can absolutely create meaningful external change over time. Okay, here are your action steps. First, pay attention to your self-talk. Notice what you repeatedly tell yourself daily. Ask, would I speak this way to someone I love? 2. Practice intentional focus. Choose one area of your life you want to improve. This could be your confidence, your health, creativity, relationships, abundance, routines. Then begin focusing your energy intentionally there. Combine mindset with action. Ask yourself, what action would align with the version of me I want to become? Manifestation works best with participation. Regulate your nervous system. Rest matters. Emotional safety matters. Burnout does not help manifestation. Focus on your sleep, your movement, your journaling, your mindfulness, your boundaries, and emotional support. And finally, stop expecting instant miracles. Real growth is often gradual. Tiny, consistent shifts can completely change your life over time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.